Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, Christopher, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Finally caught up with each other.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So it's very late. I'm sorry yeah, it's
I
too
mean,
late. I can do it some other time.
oh, this is fine compared to some of the other ones I did a few days ago, where we was up at 2 or 3 in the morning. Uh,
Oh boy.
I was just catching up. It's just the conversation kept going, so um, I wasn't gonna turn that down. So, like I said, I was mainly interested in talking with you or interviewing you because everybody speaks well of Calibike and and the batteries and all that aspect, but there's also been some controversy behind that too. And I'm not the one.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna poke and jab at you, but I would like to know what's behind everything because you're definitely offering something a great value. So if I'll just hand things over to you, like, how did you get started with that?
Okay. Are you speaking from a speakerphone? Because it has some echo.
Oh, it's technically a webcam with my Skype a little bit. Um,
Oh, okay.
I haven't heard any complaints, but I guess you're the
Okay.
first.
Okay. As long as it works, it works.
Okay.
Um, so basically, what happened was that I bought some batteries from China, and one failed after a year and a half or so. And, it's expensive, 300 some odd dollar battery. And the guy wouldn't even talk to me. So I said, okay, I'll give it up. And I had bought another one, but then I got busy at work. I left it lying in the garage, not charging it, nothing.
Hmm.
And that died also. And I never even used that thing. And then I tried to get hold of them, and they wouldn't even talk to me. And then I got really pissed. I said, hey, man, I just lost like $600. And I was mad at myself, too. I mean, not. But I mean, still, you don't expect that you buy a battery and it just goes dead on you
Yeah.
because you left it in the garage. Um, so then I said, hey, I'm sure everybody else is having similar problems. So then I said, okay, let me see if I can find a good supplier. Because I work in the cell phone. I used to work in the Broadcom cell phone division.
Hmm.
So we dealt with batteries and Chinese suppliers and so on. So I did some homework, found a good supplier. I told him I'll buy a fair number, but I want certain specifications. I want you to test each battery. See, what happens is that the Chinese suppliers, they'll overrate the battery. They'll say, oh, this one is 3,300 milliamp, or this is 4,400. I say, I don't care what they're saying it. I want you to test the battery, and then you put it in the pack. And then I want you to test the pack, and then when I get it, I retest the pack.
Okay.
So I get pretty good results. I mean, I've been using it myself, and a bunch of people have been using it, and I mean, they work good. They're reasonably priced. I mean, they're not as nice as say Samsung or something, but hey, that's what you got in your laptop. Most of the laptops have generic cells.
So, so you don't do any manufacturing yourself. You still get them from overseas, correct?
Yeah, I do the testing myself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's real easy to get make this test rigs. Like, I sell power supplies, and I recently had to make a test rig where I'm using load resistors. I'm using 300-watt load resistors in series
Yeah, yeah.
parallel to test.
Yeah, but I have automated tests that go through. Yeah, that's my work at Broadcom. So I test each one, and then I keep additional supplies. And then if somebody has a problem, I'm able to rebuild it. I'm able to replace the BMS and just work with people, make sure they're happy.
Uh,
Like recently, I had a problem. They shipped me some bad chargers, so I just no cost. I swapped out chargers for people.
uh,
It happens, and basically, I just try to make people happy and make enough that it makes it worth my while.
uh, I know that. Have you found the BMS that's actually pretty decent compared to the others that are available in the Chinese outlets?
Yeah, the um, the ones I have, they're pretty good. They have, I tested them with a full 30 amp continuous load. I have them tested for that, and I test myself.
Yeah.
So a lot of the cheapies, they won't do the full load. And if you read the specs carefully, they won't, like, if it's a 15 amp battery, I expect a 30 amp, I expect it to be like it's a 15 amp hour battery.
Mm-hmm.
Then I expect it to do 2x, meaning it should be able to do 30 amp for half an hour or 15 amps for 1 hour.
Yeah, this is for most of the kits on the market, at least if you're on the legal side, you need 15, 20 amps. But even for the slightly more robust kits, yeah, we do need 30 amps sometimes, and 30 amps continuous. I remember when I've gotten burnt by a Chinese battery before, and it was a 48 volt 20 amp hour battery, and this is back when the 18650s were like slightly over 1 amp hour, so they might have been 1 amp hour or 1.5 amp hour, and I had I think it was 20 cells in parallel for each group, so it might have been 1 amp hour cells. But the pack never did give me full capacity. It gave me like 15 amp hours, so I had some broken groups in there, and I tried to go in there and repair some of the spot welded tabs that broke and all of that. So I think early on when I first started making e-bikes, that kind of turned me off. At least the 18650 packs turned me off because it was just so many cells and I wasn't getting the capacity. But now here it is, we're creeping up in 2015 with cells giving 3 amp hours plus, depending on how you discharge them, and some people are claiming like 50 amps constant, 80 amps peak with their BMS on the 18650 pack. So we definitely come a long way when it comes to cells.
Yeah.
And
but I don't. I mean, for the generic, I have them graded for 2C. So basically, I have them checked. The battery can put out like 2,300 milliamps. That's the meat of the market.
And that's a pretty respectable capacity.
It's not as good as Samsung, but if you in batteries, it's a lot of matter of what value for your money.
Yeah, I mean, and even still, like whenever I bought Chinese flashlights and they give you those fake 18650 cells and they may last 30 minutes, and I popped a Panasonic like a 32 or 3400 or something in there, and that thing lasted weeks for me, versus 30 minutes. So I mean, it's hard not to get burnt from these cells.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why the proper screening makes the big difference.
And I tell people with any lithium chemistry, especially if they're getting it overseas, even Hobby King packs, you need to test these cells because they will slip. They might spot check, but they'll slip a ton of bad ones out to you. And if you
exactly. So I check each cell, each battery, not each cell, but each pack with a full load test, a real load test, and that's basically. That forces my supplier. He knows I'm checking up on him.
Yeah, he knows you're not playing around, and he'll rather not deal with that. I'm not sure how you.
And one supplier did something, so I switched suppliers. Hey.
So they sent you a good sample, and then they sent you crap product after they secured it.
It wasn't crap product, but sometimes they would change connectors. Or sometimes they would change BMS without telling me. And I said, no, I don't accept it. I need to know these things. And I can't have connectors, like the pin out on the charger. So one batch has one charger, pin 1 here, pin 2 here, another batch has this. So I said, wait a minute. Because people will later on buy more chargers. and I can't be trying to figure out who's got what kind of charger.
Yeah. How did you? I know you dabble like on your site. You kind of dabble around in hub motors slightly.
What is it?
As I said, on your website, you kind of sell some kits, like as far as hub motor kits.
Oh yeah, I basically the only other thing I have besides batteries, I have charger, and then I have I developed a sensor to sense current.
Yeah, current sensor. I saw that.
That the Cali sensor, so it senses current without you putting without breaking the loop. So, for example, if you want to sense current on the on the three-phase wires.
Ah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's not simple thing. Or even if you want to check battery, I don't really like to have a series resistors put in there and you break the loop. I just want to, so this way you can just sense the
current without breaking the circuit.
exactly. And then I wanted it to be to play into my cell phone, so I could just just record the whole ride. And that's basically my goal right now, is to have that. The next step I'm working on is to make a smart battery in which the battery will node lock to your cell phone.
Yeah.
So if you lose the battery, I mean, if somebody takes off with your bike, they may have the bike, but the battery won't go.
Yeah.
So the battery is locked to your phone.
Love it. That's a very unique feature. Would it have like anything like GPS location?
Yeah. That it's not just GPS, but you need a transponder. You need a cell phone.
Yeah.
And I've looked into that. I have one on my bike, but the quality of the Chinese supplier is no good. It locks up at times. It seems to run and then not run. So I was thinking about selling it, but I can't really sell something like this.
Yeah, until it's definitely solid, or solid enough where it works every time.
Exactly.
No matter what.
So I bought these tractors from they sell these tractors.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, I got 3 of them and they all are flaky. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. So I'm not very happy with them.
Or like I say, you just have to continue moving on to the next one. I know there's a lot of people that have Kickstarter campaigns and everything for similar products, but something's got to be out there already that's decent enough to integrate into something. You just got to keep finding the next product. I've seen, like, going back to your battery, I've seen one of those in person, and it seems like I like the quality and everything. I don't have one personally, but there was a guy out here in Savannah, Georgia, actually in Tybee Island, Georgia, that has one of the batteries, and I took a look at it, and it seems like it's a pretty nice product, and it's like the battery is almost made perfect for that case, for the triangle bag.
Oh yeah. That's been pretty popular.
It was just the only thing that I saw on that I kind of didn't like. It was like, it seems like that charge port needs some reinforcement, like it needs a metal backing or something on it. It's sitting kind of.
Yeah, that's a good. The charge port is kind of loose.
That's my only critique on it. But pretty good.
Yeah. It should be done in such a way. It should be mounted to the battery, so it's not loose. But right now, the problem with these cases is that you got to make a huge order to make it worthwhile. For the custom tax and everything. So I gotta make it all work. then in the next batch, then I'll work on some improvements from it. Hopefully, I'm looking at like if I can get my that smart battery in there, then that I think would be a nice thing to have.
I got a question. What's the main difference between this? I mean, I know there's the triangle battery, but you also have this one that's kind of in the white case. Is it just form factor difference, or?
It's just form factor. The triangle one actually has two sizes. It has a 15 amp hour and a 20 amp hour.
Okay.
And the one in the case is only 15 amp hour.
But they're still
both of them have a master switch from the BMS. So like, sometimes what I notice is that you get sparking, from the charger or from hooking up to the wires, and it's kind of unnerving. So as long as you have the master switch off, I especially have these BMS configured with the master switch. So once the master switch is off, you can play with it and connect it and disconnect it and solder it and everything, and no issues, no sparks, no live.
Have you, at least on the next batch, before, at least until you get the smart battery, have you thought about doing like key switches or something like that?
Yeah, but I mean, people can wire up a key switch into that, because I don't know, where they're putting it in.
Yeah.
So they may want to put it in other places. So they could always bypass the on-off switch and take it to a key switch.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you can't make everybody happy, and you have to leave some stuff up.
Yeah, basically, I need it to be some standard size that people can live with, and also I'm pretty particular. I want to use it myself, so I do use it myself. I use it daily, so that way, use it yourself. You know how good something is, or if it has problems.
Yeah.
So my bike is my car now, because I sold my car. My wife has a car,
Yeah.
but I said, I'll tell you what happened. Like I was riding this e-bike to work and back. I used to take the train and then I bike the rest of the way. And my car had some issues, and I took it to the repair guy. And he said, "Oh, you need this steering shaft thingy, I don't know, that's the name of it. But he said, it's an Infinity. I said, it's going to cost you a lot. You have to get it from the dealer. I said, I don't want to get it from the dealer. Go find me a used one. So he said, okay, I'll look. So he calls me 2 weeks later. I haven't found a used one. Don't you need this car? Then I said, you know what? I went 2 weeks without this car. Why do I need this car? So I got it fixed up. We found a used part, and I got rid of it. I said, I have, if I need a car, I have, the wife's car. We can take it. So, we're going somewhere. We can go with it. Other than that, I'm a single person going to work. Why do I need 4 people, 4 passengers in it? Plus, I don't like driving in, LA traffic is a mess.
I wish I could get away from driving a car. My closest thing was getting a Chevy Volt. That's as close as I could get, and disconnecting myself from at least.
Yeah, I saw that you bought. I remember reading it. How do you like it?
I like it. I just need to stop going out of town. That's my main thing. It's like, I wouldn't say I had a clunker. I had a little bit of a hoopty, but you just, when a car, after a certain age, you just kind of get real careful on how far and how much you drive it. And that car had over 120-something thousand miles. I trusted to go to California, but you're kind of taking a significant amount of life out of it. So I just went ahead and bought a Chevy Volt. And the Chevy Volt, actually, I got it used. It had 37,000 miles on it, and it cost me about 15,000. So, and they're like 38 to 42 new, 42,000.
That's not bad. That's actually a great price.
Yeah. So that was
because I was thinking, um, the you know we have a Prius, right? And I was looking at the numbers on it, and I was thinking, man, even though the Prius is it gives like 45 miles per gallon, but I'm thinking that if for over say like 10,000 miles, you're looking at about you know about $500.
Yeah, I tell you what the overall the Prius is better for long term, especially if you do a lot of long distance driving. But if most of your trips are under 100 miles, the Chevy Volt is the better option.
Yes, I agree with you. That's what I realized when I looked at the numbers. I said most of the stuff is electric, and I can just charge electric, and it's a lot less costly.
Because you know 80, like if you want, you can stay under that 80 to 100 miles, you're good. And most of my stuff is around. I get 40 miles electric and around. Um, the gas mileage varies, but it's just go ahead and throw a number of 35 miles a gallon out there. So as long as you're staying within 1 gallon and a full charge, you're good. But once you start going over, the Prius just pulls ahead by a long shot, especially on how far you can get on a tank. You can get like almost 700 miles on a Prius if you baby it. On my car, the most I can get is like 420.
Oh no, I can't get that.
You,
On our Prius, I get maximum 45 miles per gallon, and it has like a 9 gallon tank. So at 400 miles, I need to fill up. I don't know how people get 600 and 700 miles per
yeah,
gallon.
you can. I mean, I've driven one for a short period. You can hypermile it. It's not. I mean, it's not worth it sometimes. To sit there and play with the gas pedal until you get those outrageous numbers. Like I'm the type of person I normally, if I'm on a long trip, I'll set it on 70 or 75 miles an hour cruise control and let it go. So, and I'm getting on average about 35 miles a gallon. The Prius probably will, like you said, get about 45 without trying. Put it that way.
Hmm.
Without you trying too much, without you trying too hard, you could probably get 45 easy. Um, but the earlier ones could do a lot. Even I know some people that have the Honda Insight, and they were getting 60 miles.
Yeah, Insight, I heard about the Insight. Insight gets more. But they stopped making it, and I think the older Prius may have a few more gallons in the tank.
Yeah, I'm stuck at 9.2, 9.3, just like you, and I'm stuck at like around between my full charge and the gas. I'm at around like 410, 420 on maximum, and then if you can't recharge, then that automatically gets reduced down to like 380. 380 if you can't recharge on your next fill up. So, but like I said, my main thing is like ever since I got the car, I can't stay still. I've just been going out of town, and it's like $25 to fill up. So it's
Hmm.
you know
That's nice.
and it takes premium gas. That's the thing. Your Prius takes. You can take regular gas. I have to put premium in mine to get that higher miles per gallon. I can put
Oh, I see.
I can put regular in it, but I may lose like maybe 3 to 4 miles a gallon if I put regular gas in mine. So, other than that, I like it. Also got going back to the batteries. Is the 72 15 amp hour batteries made the same way, or are they using pouch cells or something?
It's the same cell.
Okay, all right, because it seems kind of small for all of them. Seem. I mean, I know the cell size is small, but it's like it seems like that 72 volt one was small for its size and capacity. Uh, and like hell, I could run two of those and it will match my current pack. Um, but that's a nice size nice size pack that you have there. And like I said, as long as if people don't aim too high, if you build like a sane bike, like everybody goes overboard nowadays. And, even me, I mean, I'm running an 80 amp controller. I would just totally murder these packs if they would even run at all. But if somebody has like a legal kit that they bought, then these packs seem more than adequate for the job. So, and for a decent price. And as much as you sold on eBay, I mean, it seems like you sold a ton of these through eBay and everything, and it's getting pretty good reviews on it. Of course, you may have like the one or two bad seeds from people that may not know what they're doing or something like that, or are asking too much of the battery, you know. But that's kind of one of those things that you put up front. That is
Yeah, yeah. But
better.
on eBay, I think it had good reviews. On Amazon, I think one of the guys, he was like, I think a competitor. So he says, "Oh, I can get these for half the price. I know his supplier." And then people start searching for my supplier. I mean, supplier is not a big deal. You know, there's a ton of people selling these batteries.
Yeah,
So,
on AliExpress or Alibaba or any of those
sure,
places. Yeah,
you can go anywhere, and you know, there's got a whole bunch of people selling it. And it's not. I mean, the ones who are concerned about the price, you know, that's fine. But what happens is that once you have a problem, that's where, you know, buying in
yeah,
in
you're
U.S.
a vendor. We can contact you in the USA if we have to go overseas and contact somebody or send anything back. There's been plenty of big ticket items that I bought from China that go when you ship it back, it goes into a black hole, and all they have to say is we didn't see it, and then
We never received it exactly. I had that happen to me. I bought a phone from China, and stupid thing never worked. Sent it back. Never heard from them. Never got my credit.
you know. But at least dealing with those places, are you dealing with some type of escrow type service where you get to check your product out first before they get released the funds? Because I think that's
Yeah, but once you have it, and then you have a problem, then the escrow service is out of the loop. See, I got my phone, and they said, "You got it?" Yes, I got it. And I shouldn't have said okay, till I tried it. I was busy, you know.
yeah. So
And
you said it was okay before you tried it, and then it was too late.
yeah, yeah.
But I think
I bought a navigation system for my car, for the Prius.
uh-huh.
You know, and I asked the guy 4 times. I wanted navigation. There's a navigation system, and then there's a navigation system that has both GPS and GLONASS.
Uh-huh.
GLONASS is the Russian navigation, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it has GLONASS. Oh yeah, I assure you. Then I get it. I check it. No GLONASS. Oh, that's the antenna is GLONASS. So what do I need? The antenna is GLONASS. If it doesn't have the chip, it doesn't have GLONASS. Because the guy was just lying.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I complained to my credit card company and so on, but I don't. They said you got the goods. Took it back. He wasn't. I said forget it.
I mean,
dealing with those people is just a nightmare.
Well, I mean, what's the best way? Like, if we had to, I mean, order anything, like, especially like anything like batteries or BMSs or anything, what's the best way to deal with the foreign vendors? Is it best to use AliExpress or Alibaba and use those escrow services, or deal with them directly? Or
personally, I went there. I went there. I saw the factory. I met the owners. I checked them out, and then I started dealing with them.
I mean, and that's how, like, normally reputable business, like, I mean, I've seen E-Bike CA, Justin at E-Bike CA, I've seen Jason at E-Bike Kit. They go to the factories to see what they're getting, and then they still check up on them to make sure their quality standards are still good.
Yep. So, because otherwise what happens is that they just lie.
Yeah.
Like anything.
And like,
we have factory, we have this. You find out. Even the factories now are fake.
Yeah, because you see they put up a fake website and they have these stock photos of happy people in the factory working, but when you really visit the factory, it's like a grungy garage somewhere, and it's not.
No, like what they'll do is a lot of them are just traders, and they don't have a factory. If you want to go see factory, what they'll do is they'll put up a sign. They have this one can factory, right?
Yeah.
And you go see it, and they'll show it to you. But unless I have, because of my cell phone and so on, so I know people that I'm comfortable with, and they're Chinese, so they check it out. Because what happens is that these traders are just fast-moving traders. They one time you'll get good stuff from them, another time you'll get garbage, and they're not in it for the long term.
I mean, and I definitely see like I know there was my friend Barrett at Kenne Motorsports. He's doing the Saunders battery, and of course he requested a sample first, and the sample checked out all right. I would just be worried about like I wouldn't mind dealing with a lot of these people if the sample checked out all right, and I just want it's sort of like I want them to know that I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm getting. So if you
Yeah,
try to screw me, it will come back on you royally. So just send me what I paid for or whatever. Don't try to change, like you said, they'll try to change the BMS or change the connector or even possibly change the sales after they secured your contract with the
yeah,
sample. That's what, and especially when you buy loose sales, because like see, they'll even go as far as shrink wrapping the sale with a fake shrink wrap to make it look like a legitimate LG cell or a Samsung cell or something. And I mean, I've always wanted to get a spot welder and get some of these packs. This is like the next best thing. I mean, as far as lightweight batteries for e-bikes. And
well, see, that's what my feeling was that I don't really want to be bothered by paying extra and then getting a fake here and there. I said, forget it. I'm not paying extra for a Samsung cell. I just want generic cell, but I want it screened, and I want every single cell screened. So my batteries cost me more. He gave me price for all that.
yeah, man, and it's like if we try to do it on our end, because I know there's tons of people that build their own battery packs, but it's nice to build your own battery pack, but if you're not checking the cells, if you're not taking the time to check the cells, if you're doing it for yourself, it's okay for yourself, but trying to do it at large scale.
Yeah,
Like if I were to do it, since I'm a one-man operation, I try to do it and check every cell before I assemble it in a pack. It increases a lot of man hours and cost of the battery. But yeah, if you can get all of that done over there, and just let them know that hey, I'm checking up behind you, so don't try to pull a fast one. Then
yeah,
it's hard. It's kind of say it's hard to find a good, honest Chinese person. But when you develop that relationship with them, it normally goes pretty good. But
yeah, yeah,
you just have to make sure you're in contact with the right people, that you're in contact with the true factory, and like you said, not like a broker or in between middleman or trade like your trader, like you say, that just can go through a catalog and find the part for you. Versus, you take out the middleman and just go to the factory or manufacturer directly if possible, and deal with them and like you said, tour the factory where it's manufactured, just make sure that everything's on the up and up. Because it seems like everything, like once a motor gets made, that mold gets copied or that design gets copied, and next thing you know, everybody else is making it, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you don't know who.
I tried. See, my thing is that I want a bike that's not just fast but light. Okay.
Yeah.
So I tried to have a custom motor done, and I got too many issues, and I said, forget it. I'm not dealing with these people because they're just used to copying.
Yeah.
I wanted a motor that's lighter. I don't need. I said, hey, take the. You've seen my bike, right? It's
Yeah.
40 pounds, goes 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
On a 700. So basically, it's a 500 watt Mac motor, but it's up volted to 48 volts, so it's about 800 watts.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a 30C3, which is 30 pounds, 30-mile range, and 30 miles an hour.
Which should pretty much
So
be a 48 volt and a 15 amp hour battery. Some,
no, 15 amp hour battery busts the budget because
oh,
the bike itself is like 20 pounds. It's like 18 pounds. So you've got 12 pounds for the battery and the motor.
so you sacrificing a little bit of power with a
Yep.
lower amp controller to get a lighter battery.
Yeah. So 30 pound battery bike, you can pedal easily. It's like a road bike.
Yeah.
If you lose power, it's okay. If you're going uphill, you don't want to use your power, it's okay. Also, it's legal. So
That's something definitely to look at. Is I mean, I know if my bike were to ever fail in any fashion, to where the motor or the controller or the battery were to fail, I got like a huge hunking thing. Mine probably weighs almost 100 pounds, somewhere around there. Um, and like mine is 45 miles per hour, a little over 6,000 watts. And
yeah,
the battery itself weighs 28 pounds. I'm running a 66 volt, 36 hour battery. So I mean, I made the bike not to pedal.
yeah,
If anything goes wrong, I'm screwed. I can pedal it, but it just sucks. Uh, so I mean, but definitely having a lightweight bike like that, I would like to get back to basics and get back to a sub 40 pound, 40 pound bike, even with a mild assist. But that's a tall order. 30 miles an hour, it can be done, especially with a geared motor. It can be done. Uh, Probably like you said, are you going to try to like using a Mac motor or something like that, or equivalent?
I'm evaluating motors. I don't know yet. It's the I'm evaluating frames and motors. I'm trying a carbon fiber frame. That adds a lot to the cost, though.
Yeah, so especially carbon fiber. I mean, I've seen how they are made, and that definitely is an engineering marvel, especially when it comes down to the joints and how they impregnate it, vacuum seal it. I mean, I know, yeah, it'll be a Chinese frame or whatever, but it's still there's a lot that goes into that, and it takes one manufacturer creating a bad jig on a bike, where it's not trued up right, or it didn't set properly. It takes one bad frame to really leave a salty taste in your mouth. I've dealt with a vendor that kind of messed with me on a crappy frame that wasn't jigged correctly. So I mean, like you said, you got to evaluate all of this stuff. You just can't rely on. Like I said,
Hmm.
that my main thing is you can't rely on that sample. You know, they can spit polish a sample and make it seem like the greatest thing, but if they can't maintain that quality that they offered
Yeah.
you the first time, then you just have to move on and find somebody else that can do it. But it seems like you're definitely. I mean, just by talking to you, it seems like you're concerned about the quality, and you want a value for the customer. It seems like you're addressing pretty much, I would say, 80% of the market, 80% of the do-it-yourself market. If they can't really buy the battery that's bundled with the kit, then they can come to you and get a nice equivalent battery that should power the kit fine. And you're checking the batteries, the vendor's checking the batteries, and you know, like I said, I know we have a few haters, and I can say I was probably one of the ones that was throwing stones too. But just looking at like what you're guaranteeing, you're basically guaranteeing a 2C battery, and you're using um, like what you say, 2.2, 2.3 amp hour cells.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's straightforward, generic cells, nothing fancy. They get the job done, and and even from what I read, most of your packs over deliver, right? Like if you bought a 20 amp hour battery, I've seen some of them over deliver.
Yeah. They're a little bit over. About 10-15% over, depending on.
So it's a great deal. I mean, I know you have to pretty much market it at what's the nominal capacity, and if the customer happen to get a good one that overachieves, then so be it. But it seems like you got a good setup here, and you're like looking at ways to even polish that even more to release a better product. But like you said, you have to, in order to get anything done, you have to have like a certain minimum order quantity. So before we see a evolution in your product, you just have to get rid of what you have and then place an order that's sizable enough for them to make the changes. And we should probably see a lot better things coming from them. But I think, do you have anything else to add? 'Cause I think we're pretty much wrapped up. I mean, what do you, what other than let's see, other than the smart battery, are you planning to offer anything else? I know you saying that there's the bike, the 30-pound.
I want to do the 30-30-30, but I'm looking for like a partner or somebody to work with me on it.
And
it's a lot more involved than just the battery.
yeah, I mean, definitely. What have you? I mean, you say you're still evaluating motors and everything. Like I said, I see this geared motor on your website. But you have that.
That's a Mac. That's a Mac. That one it breaks the budget. That one will do 40-40-40.
Yeah.
But if I can't get that one down to the 30-30-30, it just breaks the budget.
I mean, I've had a Mac motor. I've actually had the BMC motor, which is pretty much the Mac equivalent. And,
Yeah.
And it's a pretty nice motor.
It's a nice motor.
Yeah, for a size, because the parts are interchangeable. The gears and everything should be interchangeable. The inside, for the most part.
On a road bike, the gears don't seem to get stressed as much, I think. On some of these mountain bikes, with the heavy bike and all that, I think the gears get stressed more.
I mean, I think if you're doing more technical riding and like more lower end, like I think your bike is focused on being on the road and moving, while some of these other bikes are built for low end power acceleration and not necessarily, sustaining top end speed. Because like I said, honestly, with bikes of today, even with my bike, we have this over glorification of peak power, and it's not necessary. I mean, you could have if I'm riding on the road and I get this thing up to top speed, then it's barely sipping power at the top speed. But the more that we're showboating, the more that we're launching at the lights aggressively and everything, we're just dumping a lot of power into the motor, and that's not what a gear motor is for. Like a gear motor is made for lightweight commuting, maintaining a average to top speed on a bike and more of an assist. So you can definitely get a lot more, I wouldn't say performance out of it, but it's just more suited to like a commuter style ride.
Yeah, basically, my thinking is that this is a car replacement. And if people treat it as a car replacement, another reason for the light is that I like to take it on the train. The buses here have racks that you can put bikes on.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't feel like pedaling. I'm tired.
Yeah, and like even with
or if I'm like I go long distance, I put it on the train and I go. And then once I'm off the train station, I have already hit 20 miles. 20 miles from the train station is a long distance. I mean, it covers a huge amount of space. So basically, I can go anywhere in LA. LA is a huge area. You know that, right?
Yeah.
And mass transit here is lousy. But with the train and the bike, I can go from one end of LA to the other end of LA in a good time. In fact, I was thinking of talking to my friend. I was wanting to race a Corvette across LA, because by the time the Corvette goes through the traffic, I get on the train, I'm there, and then I zip through the roads
And I mean, you get either a comparable time or better just doing the bike and mass transit because normally, like you said, when a car is sitting in traffic or whatever, it's not moving, but a bike is always still mobile. Ninety
Yep.
percent of the time, it's always still mobile, no matter what. So it's always moving. Yeah, the a car can make up that distance in a short period of time, but when you average it out, it's we're talking about maybe a 5 to 10 minute difference using either one, and you don't have to sweat on the bike. If with the electric bike, you don't have to sweat on it if you don't want to. You know.
Well, I'll tell you a measure. I've been planning on doing this. From my home to the train station is about 3.5 miles.
Uh huh.
Right? Google Maps says 12 minutes, 13 minutes on car. Right? I do that trip fairly regularly under 10. I've done it at 9, depending on lights.
On a
So
bike or in the car.
on my bike.
Yeah.
So
So
basically,
yeah.
I figure I'm 30% faster than a car in this area. It's not on the freeway because I'm going to, and if I compute the door-to-door time that I take on the bike going to work versus driving, it's approximately the same.
I mean,
Because
I was gonna say it's funny that you mentioned that. I mean, like I said, yeah, biking. I mean, even like I said, I went out of town and I got a hotel and I'm looking at Google Maps on my phone and the car route is taking 8 or 9 minutes to my destination and I'm looking at and then I rode my bike and like when I have cameras on my bike and when I actually edited the video, it actually took me like 3 or 4 minutes,
right.
you know.
And if you count the door-to-door times, that even when you get to the station, for example, it takes you about 4 or 5 minutes to park the car.
Yeah.
And whereas the bike, you roll straight into next to the train. So
Yeah.
if you drive, you gotta give like a 20-minute margin to make it to the train. With a bike, I can do comfortably a 12-minute margin and make it to the train.
That's
One of the rides I got Strava. You know Strava,
yeah,
the mapping and so I turn on Strava for my part of my commute, the one that's on video, and so I was named King of the Hill. They have they score you.
You're raking on that part of the route.
Yeah, so that part of the route, I got King of the Hill. And then a bunch of bikers complained, oh, this is not fair, this is not this, this is not this. I said, it's a hybrid. But, hey.
Look, I've done the same thing over by my house. I have a trail system called the Silver Comet Trail, and you have like the Lycra people, and they're out there pushing themselves and everything. And it's not that I'm out there just riding the throttle or goosing it, but at one point in time, I had a bike that had a 62 chain ring, and I had a torque sensing bottom bracket, and so I'm out there pedaling, and on like minimum watts, like maybe 300 to 400 watts, I'm doing almost 30 miles an hour pedaling along, not fake pedaling, but pedaling along with a mild assist, and I'm just busting all of these records and the King of the Hill. And like I said, so when you're on a trail system that long, and my name is coming up there, like I'm on some of these leaderboards like 2 or 3 times, because I'm getting King of the Hill or fastest through this section or this, that, and the other. And it's like, I'm not just like riding my throttle through there. I'm actually just kind of using the pedal assist and,
yeah, you're doing hybrid.
Yeah, so, it's, maybe they should create a separate category. I really don't care.
I think they should have a hybrid or e-bike category. That would be better for them.
And honestly, like, there's a lot of events and stuff that I want to go to, but you know how there's like the e-bike shammers, especially the Lycra people. I'm like, I want to pay to go to this event, whether it be like a half century event, full century, or some benefit ride for somebody. Let me pay my way, but whatever time that I get, just disqualify me. I'm not doing it um, to get the bragging rights or ranking. You know, there's a lot of athletes out here that work hard to do it naturally. I'm just out
You,
here having
you
fun.
know, I really, the, some of these Lycra people, they look down on e-bikes.
Yeah, of course they do.
And, and you know, I look down on them because I see them, they lug their bikes on this big 4,000-pound SUV
Yeah,
when they go riding. I said, what kind of, what, you know, if you think of yourself as being green, what is this? You're daily, you're loading up this car in this huge monster SUV, going somewhere, and then you go riding.
there's honestly like there, you know. But on the other hand, I have this one German friend. Um, he was into rollerblading, but he got an injury, a back injury, but he had to go to riding recumbents. And so, of course, you know, recumbents are already more efficient than a bike because there's more
Yeah.
slipstream and aerodynamic and all of that. But this guy was like over where I stay at, we have Stone Mountain. He was riding from Stone Mountain to a group ride, like Critical Mass, which is maybe 20, 25 miles from his house to the ride meeting point. He would do the group ride, and that would be anywhere between 10 to 20 miles. And then after that ride, me and him would go riding, and he's just fascinated with my electric bike and on how fast it can go. But himself, he can pedal up to like 30 miles an hour and leave me it's nothing, you know. And on the first few times that I rode with him, I'm like, man, he's a very, very talented person. And and then he would do all of this riding with me, even doing like 15, 20 miles ride with me, and then ride 25 miles back home. So in that one day, he's doing like 80 to 100 miles.
Wow. Yeah. Those incumbents, I mean, he's good, but those incumbents are also much, much more efficient.
And like I said, but the thing, the like I said, the first few times he was dragging me around because I was throttle only, trying to keep up with him because my gearing wouldn't go as high as his.
Ah.
His natural, his cadence and everything was a lot higher, so he's getting lot higher speed. So I'm having to stay on the throttle a lot more just to keep up with him. But after I got that upgrade of the 62 chainring and that torque sensing bottom bracket, where it's sensing my pedal strokes and how hard I pedal, and it's augmenting it through the motor, my efficiency went way up. One, because I'm adding power to it, and it's not wasting a lot of power either. So I like after I got those upgrades, then he was like, "Man, I mean, I know before you was having to slow down because you were overheating and this, that, and the other. But what did you do to your bike to where you're hanging with me now?" And I'm like, all I did was put in a larger chain ring to allow me to assist up to those higher speeds to where I can keep
Yeah,
up.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You know,
Those 60, I got exactly. I got the same 62 chain ring on mine,
and
and
that's wonderful.
that makes a huge difference.
Yes, it does. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. Um, so like you said, it's a hype. I mean, we're making these hybrids, and all we're doing is we actually have a legal amount of cyst, and we're still legal because technically, you know, you're not supposed to, like, over here, you're not supposed to exceed 20 miles an hour throttle only. But if you just so happen to be pedaling and you happen to get a higher speed while still maintaining the same wattage, then it's still legal if you're pedaling along. You know, so because so some of these bikes have 20 mile per hour speed limits, and then if you're pedaling,
Yep,
if you're
yep,
pedaling
you're right.
the same wattage,
You're exactly right.
you
Yep.
go up to 28, 30 miles an hour if you're pedaling along. So, that's the technicality around a lot of it. So, I mean, yeah, so the 30 30 30 bike is doable. Um, it's just all about how you go about doing it. I think it's going to probably be a fast, probably like a six-turn Mac or something like that, or a high speed bafang, 6 or 8 turn. motor with a 36-volt battery or something like that. But you're talking, I mean, you might even have to run a 24-volt battery. I'm thinking, you know, just to
Yeah,
make
see,
sure.
that's where the 30-pound limit, it creates a problem that if you have 24-volt battery, then you don't get the speeds. Yeah, but if you have a bigger battery, then you overweight. So you got everything matters in that.
Well, I mean, but like I said, looking at how the battery technology has changed over the years, like last year we had like, well, for me, of course I'm in the RC lipo crowd. Last year for me, I was running uh six, I was running nine zippy 8 amp hour batteries for a 66 volt 24 volt battery. But this
Uh-huh.
year, in the same amount of space, I was able to gain 20% more capacity
Yes.
with a 25% weight reduction for pretty much the same amount of output power. So,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's with the multi-star batteries. Those have been a game changing battery this year. They're lighter. They don't put out as much power, but they're lighter, and the amount of power that's in the same amount of space as its predecessor is been game changing. So I'm thinking, in probably another 2 or 3 years, we actually probably have something a little bit better as far as the weight.
Yeah, you're exactly right. As the evolution, I mean, it's not doing jumps in time, but it is gradually evolving fairly rapidly. 10-20% per year is exactly what you're saying. Exactly right.
Honestly,
That's
I think how you're going to achieve your goal is if we can get that like that graphene based battery that can charge up to like 80% in such a shorter period of time. I'm thinking like, yeah, if you had something like that where we could, you could ride for maybe like 20 miles or whatever, and then go to an outlet and charge for like 5 minutes and regain 80% of that charge back.
mm-hmm.
I think that's where e-bikes are really going to shine because like right now we have and the same, like, even with me, I got nice high-end chargers that can charge at, 13, 1400 watts. And even I could get a 2000 watt one, but, we're exceeding breakers at that point. But if we can get that graphene-based battery chemistry where we can get all of those cycles charged super quickly, it'll be nice to even go to, like, if the bikes were able to take advantage of the same plug that cars use.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah.
so like, my Volt has a 3.3 kilowatt onboard charger, which is very low for a car. A stock Nissan Leaf has a 6.6, but the Nissan Leaf can also use a high speed charge if you bought one equipped. It has a high speed charger that can do up to like 40 plus kilowatts. So it'll be nice to go to like out here we have Walgreens or CVS. Go to Walgreens, pull up to their charge station,
Probably in about 10 minutes you're charged. That's an interesting
yeah.
idea.
I mean, I'm thinking that's where it's gonna be. That's where the game changing thing is gonna be. If we can go up to these charge stations and get our charge in 5 minutes, and get on about our way. And the thing is, like, even the lower level one, level two chargers are more than sufficient for a bike. Um,
Mm.
so I think that's where we get into, but I don't think you're going to get. I'll be surprised if there's like a graphene based 18650 where you can fast charge them or something like that.
Well, one of the things that's coming out is you heard of the Tesla factory, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the battery they're gonna put out is 18650, but with a little twist. They're gonna be a little bit larger. They won't exactly fit into an 18650, but they're just slightly bigger.
It almost reminds me of that. You remember that special A123 battery that had the
Yes,
screw terminals on the end and they were orange looking?
yes.
it almost reminds me of that. Of course, that's like almost double the size of an 18650, at least lengthwise. But um, I mean, I'm still like even
But
like
the problem is that 18650 right now, it's got so much volume behind it. It's very hard to displace it in anything.
yeah,
It just, there is so many things that can use it. And so, cost-wise and reliability-wise, it has really come into its own.
so you have like
The prism cells and those other cells, they have too many issues.
like
18650.
yeah,
The only one more thing I want to work on is I want to make a modular battery, which you should be able to disassemble. And let's say after 4 years, you find, hey, this bank of cells or this slice, let's say a slice, right? This slice is not holding up. So you pop that slice out, replace that slice, and you basically rebuild the whole battery.
yeah,
Are you with me?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
instead of being soldered together, I want them to be. But the problem is that the connectors get overloaded because of the current.
Yeah.
So you have to find a set of connectors that can take this amount of current
Or simply
and not get.
you have to do it like how Headway did themselves and do a bus bar. Everybody can undo a screw. So
Yeah, I mean, even bus bars with this, it just, you have wires hanging out and then going to the bus, and you have to have ground coming back in,
yeah,
so on. So it's not as simple, but it would be a nice, neat thing to have a modular battery that I could sell, and then 4 years down the stream, 5 years downstream, batteries at 70%. So it's not every bank is at 70%. Some will be at 70, some will be at 90. So the banks that are lower capacity, you pop those out, plug in the replacements, and you've got another 4 or 5 years out of it.
that's what I have a friend that works out there at a hybrid battery refurbishing place, and so that's essentially what he does with the Prius batteries. These Priuses are coming up on their end of life for their pack.
Yes.
He gets the battery, test all the cells, pull out the low capacity ones, put matched cell, not a new one, but a matched cell around that same capacity, and reassembles the pack, and the user is able to get 2 or 3 more years at a fraction of the cost of buying a new Prius battery.
Actually, I was because the 48 V20 has the same capacity as a Prius. You know that, right? The Prius, not the Prius plug-in, but the regular Prius.
Okay.
It has a 1 kilowatt hour battery. So my 48 V20 has the same capacity. I was seriously toying around with a scheme if I can figure out instead of making it 48 volt 20 amp, if we make it 200 volt 5 amp.
What you have to do is like the extended range kits. What they do is essentially they have a mean well DC to DC inside. So they're taking a fairly nice size pack. And
Yeah, engineer does that. They take a 48 volt battery and they up it to 200 whatever volt.
But through a DC to DC, and they have like a smart contactor circuit where it's just bumping, like once the charge is depleted or whatever, it just bumps it up for like it closes the contactor for 15, 20 seconds and let the current rush and charge the main traction battery, and then it releases, and until that battery gets low again, it just sits idly by until it's needed again. But I'm thinking, honestly, on a larger scale, especially if you're trying to augment a Prius traction battery, there's still like a minimum that you really have to go and do, and I'm thinking somewhere around that 5 kilowatt hour range.
Yeah, I agree with you. It needs to be like 5-10 kilowatt hours.
Because the thing is,
I don't really want it augmented. I want it to be a full electric Prius like Volt, and then once that's depleted, then go back into turn the motor on and do that.
Here's the thing that I don't like about like my Volt. I wish they would have put a like the Volt has a sister vehicle that's a hybrid. It's not not in the same Chevy Volt line, but it's like I think it's a Malibu or the Chevy Cruze that's a hybrid, and that one gets like 40. It gets on the same amount of mileage as the Prius, but since it's a hybrid, it has like a constant assist. Especially I wouldn't say in the higher RPMs, but it's only able to get that range because of the hybrid technology that's built in. And it's very unfortunate the Volt didn't get that same type of assistance because like on the Chevy Volt after a certain speed, the electric motor disengages and the gasoline motor kind of takes over after a certain speed. So I think it's like maybe like 65, 70 miles an hour. It's just more efficient to drive the car with the motor versus going through the electric system because the generator normally generates the power for the electric motors and it goes through that way, but the transmission can decouple from the generator and drive the wheels directly after a certain speed. But if there was a blended mode, I would have liked to see a blended mode since the motor since I only get 35 miles a gallon. It seems like you could have used the electric range to have a blended mode to where I can get more miles per gallon if you were to blend the hybrid, if you were to blend the motor.
Right. I agree with you.
Yeah, it seems like they could have done a lot better with that.
Oh yeah. That's another thing I had in mind. But again, if ever I find a good collaborator, I want to build a 4-wheel bike. It was basically sort of like a 2-person car.
Yeah.
And I want to use the same hub motor. So I think the hub motor is so much space-wise efficient.
Yeah.
It doesn't need this whole transmission and shifter and all of that.
I mean,
all of that is electronic.
And I was thinking that what a reverse track is, like 2 wheels up front.
Yes. Yeah.
Creating some type of a covered body fiberglass vehicle, either carbon fiber or fiberglass or even aluminum, some type of rigid chassis with something that encapsulates the driver, but you could easily put 2 kilowatts of LiPo in there and have a decent hub motor, and it'd be like a nice 40 to 50 mile per hour vehicle. But
right, a neighborhood car.
Yeah,
bike.
And even with the current neighborhood vehicles now, with small little tweaks, one changing out the battery and possibly changing out the motor or putting some type of cooling system on the motor where they can sustain higher speeds, even if it was just 10 or 15 mile range, that would kind of get rid of, at least fossil fuels for a lot of people. Like I'm 3 miles from a Walmart.
For a lot of local trips, shopping, a lot of local, in-city trips, you could, and you can cost justify it, because once you start saying no to gas, you can really cost justify a lot of it. Gas, between gas and insurance, a whole amount of money is gone away.
Yeah, I mean.
One more thing I wanted to cover, which I've been trying to push the people on. There's a mechanism in YouTube where you can embed the speed. You know that, right? Or I don't know if you know that or not.
In your videos?
Yeah. So if you watch the video, if you turn on closed caption, it will show you. It'll show you the speed and the location.
If you upload the raw video.
What you need to do is you upload the raw video, and when you capture the video, you capture your there's an app. It's called Daily Roads, and what it will do is it will capture your current speed and location and save it to a file, and that file can then be directly uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a Garmin Verb that does the GPX. Like it'll record the video, but also at the same time it's recording waypoints, and I'll have like the waypoint file along with my video, and I can overlay, but it tends to be kind of buggy, especially like when I'm in downtown Atlanta and there's a lot of buildings and stuff. It jumps around a lot. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I don't like about it.
This app, I really like it. It just turn it on, leave it in my pocket. At the end of the ride, I just try to make sure I turn it on at the same time I start the video capture.
Yeah.
And turn it off when I turn on the video capture. And it creates a nice file. The file is directly uploaded to YouTube. Really no editing is needed, no manipulation, no nothing. Just upload the raw video, upload the raw GPS file. And I really wish everybody, because, the way I got it is that nobody would believe me that I was doing 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So then what I did was, okay, I said, I used this and the camera, and it's very easy. Anybody can do it. In fact, you should publicize it and make it. You put a e-bike video, and you think you say, hey, bike. People go through so much convolution to show their max speed because they point the camera at the display, and you can barely see the display and so on. It's such an easy, simple thing. You don't need to show the display. Just run this, and it creates a live, continuous feed of your speed.
I know, going back to like the cameras, I know that like Sony is my favorite camera. I know people like GoPros and this, that, and the other. I have a Garmin. I'm not too fond of it, but I bought it and I couldn't take it back. So, but Sony is my favorite camera, and I noticed that depending on what frame rate you charge, the higher your frame rate is, the slower your video seems.
Yeah.
So if you're recording at 60 frames a second, it's gonna look slow. But if you record at 30 or 24, which is that odd one, it seems like you're going a lot faster. So that's another thing. But yeah, when you have that overlay, they can't really fuss with it. It's just this GPS. This is GPS data. You can't.
Well, you can manipulate it, but it just corroborate. Whatever you're saying, and you can look at it and compare it. The nice thing is that it's very, very simple and easy. No, you don't have to sit there, post-process the video, sit there with various software and try to overlay the speed and then upload it. It's all done for you.
It's just my thing is I have so much video sometimes. I'm doing tens of miles sometimes, so I do have to edit out stoplights and stuff like that. So if it's a real quick video where you're doing like 2 or 3 minutes just to show the stuff, then this is the perfect way to show that. But for somebody like me, where we're going on these group rides and no telling where we might end up in the tunnel, we might be in a parking deck, and it just goes crazy. But yeah, if you're just showing speed and you want it like GPS verified, then that's the way that you would have to do it. Is start the program that creates the GPS file, start the camera up, do what you got to do, end them at the same time, and it should be relatively in sync, minus 1 or 2 seconds. So.
Yep.
But that's a good tip. I'm not sure if a lot of people don't know that, but that's a good.
Yeah, people think that's complicated. Actually, it's much simpler. And once you have this Daily Roads, it actually records video. It's for car, they use it for cars.
Yeah.
So it records the video of a car, inside car. But I don't need the video. Okay, let me go through one of the problems with the video. I bought I have a JVC recorder with camera, which is pretty good. But it's, because of the shocks, it's not. I think on bikes it gets a lot more shocks.
That's
shaking.
That's why I like Sony cameras. Sony has a built-in image correction, image stabilization that's better than anything that I've seen on the market. And like if you can find one of the older Sony AS15s or AS30s, you can get those for under $100 on eBay. They have the image stabilization, and I guarantee your videos will come out a lot better. Even though my Garmin claims it has image stabilization, if I were to put it right next to a Sony and record the same video, Sony beats image stabilization hands down on anything that I've seen on the market. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, the JVC I have has image stabilization, but what happens is that if you're doing it in dark or in nighttime or like early morning, because of darkness, it's not very good. So I bought this. Canon has this optical image stabilization, right? It's not digital.
Yeah.
And so I got that, but it was crappy. Because what the problem is, as you were saying, is the frame rate. They need to be able to capture and save the frames in time. And what they do is you get lines. Like if you take a video from your cell phone.
And like normally,
the only thing, yeah.
I was gonna say normally with video with cell phone, you end up having that jelly effect.
Exactly, the shaky and wavy and so on.
Yeah.
But I think Apple phones are better. Because I've seen some Apple videos.
I totally agree with you because I rode with a friend. He found a nice case that hangs from the handlebar pretty solidly. I don't know. It secures in 3 locations to where it looks straight on, but it doesn't swing or whatever. But I saw the video that he shot versus the video that I shot, and I was like, wow, it was almost like I was shooting with a high definition movie camera or something. It was really, really nice. So the Apple, tip my hat off to Apple. It's a really, really nice video.
There's this mini recumbent. It's called AZUB, AZUB.
Okay.
If you ever look at some of the AZUB videos, that thing is nice. And he's taking a video. I still am amazed at that video. He's passing one of these regular bikers, pedaling with one hand, and taking a video. Holding the handlebar with one hand, and taking the video on the other hand. At the same time, he's casually passing this biker guy who's obviously working very hard.
Yeah.
And that's because it's a recumbent. And that's how as you say, recumbents are in another world. They're just simply much more efficient.
And it's like even the guy that I know that has a recumbent, he was wanting to electrify one, but he was still kind of leery about the weight penalty. I'm like, so when you can like clearly lift a recumbent over your head with one hand without struggling, these are very light, very aerodynamic, and you put 15 pounds of crap on it, it's gonna make it handle differently. But it's honestly, I think bikes need to head towards the route of them looking more like bikes instead of looking like some hackery thing put together in your garage. Because I think that's kind of one of the what do you call it, the stigma about electric bikes is like they're dangerous. You can't control them. You might get electrocuted. But there are some nice production model bikes that you wouldn't even know were electric. Like honestly, like when the BBS02 drive came out, for years I've been using hub motors. Once I used that motor, and I was on the same trail system with the Lycras, keeping up with them and even passing them, and they couldn't figure out how this big. I'm a big guy, and I can kind of I can look back and see them working hard to either try to draft me or whatever, and I would just pull so far ahead, and then, there will be a rest area or trailhead where I can rest and go and use the bathroom, and they're over here looking at my bike like, and they're still trying to figure out like what type of
Where's
bike
the
is
motor?
that? Yeah, where's the motor? They couldn't find the motor. I'm like, the motor's down there with the bottom bracket. Oh, that's it. Damn, dude, I didn't hear anything. I just know that you had like such a relaxed cadence, and I was huffing it, trying to keep up with you, or at least trying to tail behind you, and they couldn't get behind me. And I'm like, that's when you know you built a bike proper. I mean, the first
Uh-huh.
generation controller with the crappy potting, no upgraded FET. I don't even have the 9 FET controller. I'm still running the regular 6 FET controller. I think the problem with the BBSOT too is you have a whole lot of riders that didn't know how to use their gears efficiently, so they're lugging it in the wrong gear. And I realized that if you're like with the BBSO2, if you're not planning on pedaling, and I call it side saddling, where you just basically sit on one ass cheek, hold the throttle wide open, and just enjoy the ride. You know, you have to be in a low gear, like not in the granny gear, but maybe if we were doing 1 through 7 on gears, you probably need to hang in gear 2 or 3 if you just want to just ride the throttle. But some people are probably lugging it in gear 7 or
You have a BBSO too?
yeah, I have. That's one of my bikes. I have a BBSO2.
So how much does the motor weigh?
Um, it's a very insignificant amount. It's probably lighter than the Mac. I could probably get a weight number. I think it's like around 7 pounds, 6 or 7.
No, Mac is just the motor. It's 5.5 pounds.
Well, I mean, I'm just throwing a number out there.
Yeah, but I think BBSO two, if I read it right, it was like 4.5 pound. If you ever get a chance, if you weigh it, let me know, because I'm really thinking. But now I'm talking with you, I'm really thinking about evaluating it. But again,
well, honestly, with that the BBSO2, that's only a solid. It can get up to 30, but you need a stretch. You need a decent stretch
yeah.
goal, but it can get up to 30. I mean, I've had it on a 29er. I got up to like 33 on a 29er, and of course, a 29er isn't in the favor of any mid drive. So I think the closer.
How difficult was it to put in a BBSO2? You had to take off the pedals and slice it in, right?
You just have to take off the pedals and the bottom bracket. I know that cheaper bikes, like cheaper bikes that have a lot of overspray, like when they paint the bike, a lot of paint may get into the bottom bracket. If too much paint is in the bottom bracket, you have to go in with the Dremel and get rid of that excessive paint. But other than that, with a more expensive bike or a reputable bike, it just slides in and you put the nuts on and put the little mount on. It's really, you could do it. It's almost just as easy as a hub motor, but it just depends on how cheap the bike is and how much overspray is in the bottom bracket.
But the other thing is that you can't put a 62 chainring on a BBSO2.
Heck no. Actually, the smaller the ring, the better. Because you think this is a mid-drive type motor, so you want to keep the RPMs of the motor high. So it comes stock with a 42 or a 46. But if you put a large chain ring on it, it's going to be too hard for it to drive.
Yeah, no, you have to change gears then. But then, because at speed, if you don't have a 62 chain ring, you're just air pedaling.
I mean, yeah, I would think that they do have like a 52 or a 54 that you can put on it. But like I said, the drive system isn't made to build a lot of speed. So with a lot of these, on a 40, like I said, it's a solid 25 mile per hour kit, solid.
Mm-hmm.
But getting up to 30, that's a long stretch. You're asking a lot of it at that point, and you can only get so much out of 1,500 watts in the bottom bracket before you start having to overcome wind resistance and everything else. So you can put a 54 on it, a 52. They sell stock, like they sell a replacement 54 chain ring, but that would be the highest I would go, because you would pretty much have to again, like I said, in order for the gearing to be in its favor, you have to like pretty much run near the granny gear in order to keep the motor happy with such a large chain ring. So I don't think that's the route. I mean, like I said, it could get 30, but it's not advised unless like
I see.
you could get like normally with you could possibly do shorter cranks to help you pedal faster, but and it wouldn't be air pedaling. But yeah, it's sort of you have to get the feel for it. I think the 52 will probably get you in that 25, 30 mile per hour range if you can get like a 10 speed bike or not a 10.
Well, okay. Well, let me ask you one question. Like on my bike, one of the issues I have, I have a Mac motor, right?
Okay.
And I've got a 7-speed rear gear.
Uh-huh.
And my chain line is not straight. The chain line on the lowest gear, on the 11th gear, is at an angle. And quite often the chain pops out.
Shoot. You don't with the bafang with the mid drive. You're running a stock wheel, so you shouldn't have.
What can you do with the Mac with that problem? Your chain line is too much at an angle.
Honestly, I probably would just drop down to a lower freewheel. But I see what you're talking about. Is it hopping off the front or the rear?
The front.
You need to put a chain guide. I forgot. Dang it. I think it's like a company called Origin 8 makes a chain guide that basically it sits on the chain and guides and then pulls it in line with the sprocket. Because a chain can have a little bit of lateral movement, but if it's like a huge bow, then it's going to walk off the cog. But I think what I had was from Origin 8, and it was just a chain guide. Trying to figure out the name. I'm on my computer, so Origin 8 chain.
It's okay. You can email it to me when you get a chance.
You need it's a chain guide. So, and it amounts to the seat tube, like right above the chain, and it kind of goes over the chain, and it just guides it into a better alignment. It's just kind of like gently nudging it. It's just like if you were to put your finger next to the chain and push it over a little bit, it'll do the same thing. It just guides it a lot better to have a better chain line. That's probably the only way, but I would try to find a lower freewheel. I'll probably drop down to a 5 or a 6 and lock out.
Yeah, but it's hard to find like a 5 position freewheel with 11/2 rear gear.
You're not going to find it. I got lucky and I found I was lucky to find my 1134 Shimano Mega Range. They're freaking rare. I paid like $50 for this. Is that rare to find?
How many speeds did it have on it?
It was a 7-speed, but it was 11 small gear and had a 34 granny. And they don't make that anymore. The only one that really makes it is it an Epoch? It's dang, I can't think of the name. But the copies that they have out now, the freewheel that I'm talking about, the copies that they have now, they got a bad mold or something because the teeth aren't perfect. I remember I bought one from Justin, never used, and the teeth looked like they were chewed up or something, and it looked like they had like a bad copy, and so it was skipping on gears. But once I got the real original Shimano, the real deal one, it was like smooth as silk. So I was like, I'm never getting rid of that guy as long as I'm gonna hold on to it as long as I can.
Maybe that's my problem, what you just mentioned, because I think, it kind of makes sense what you're saying. So maybe I need to find a Shimano like that, original.
Yeah, if you're using a like an off-brand one, I'm trying to.
Yeah, it came with the Mac. I bought it from what's the guy's name? Paul in um, China.
Yeah, it's the one. If your free will is like completely silver, it's more likely a DNP, EPOC, EPOC.
BNP, DNP, DNP. That's what it is.
Those things are crap.
Uh,
I've had like I remember I bought three back to back from different vendors, and I was like I said I was looking at the teeth on them, and the teeth on mine were like kind of worn, but it had never been used. Like it was like a bad casting or something, and they were just horrible. So I mean, but you can't really find there's nothing, and also like they tend to develop play, like the paws tend to get play in them to where they kind of wobble and it doesn't spin true. Like when you rotate it, it gets really loose and they're bad quality. But if you happen to get a good one, then if, put it as like one in five of those may be good.
wow.
That's
See, that's news for me. That's good to know. That's really good to know.
because
I got it because I really hit my chin keep popping out. I'm doing good, and all of a sudden pop. And for my brother, I went to one of these guys, Jensen's, the mechanic there, and some of these guys, they hate e-bikes. I said, can you, adjust the play on this? Oh no, I don't work on e-bikes.
yeah, I mean they're really they like they turn their nose up at it. And like even the guy at my shop, like I had a really good mechanic that was really open and he liked what I was doing, and because it was just one of the things because he drives a motorcycle, and so so it's like to kind of have that feeling on a bike, it kind of makes him grin a little bit. So he was more than happy
Yeah.
to work on my bike, but I lost him as a mechanic. But it's hard to have people open. And I remember I took my bike to the shop the other week, and honestly, I took the bike up there to kind of do just like a general inspection because I was about to sell it to somebody, and so I was
Uh-huh.
having a problem with the shifters, and so there was like, yeah, we're having a problem with the shifters. You need a new chain, blah 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 blah. It's not shifting right, and it turns out that there was like a zip tie that was pinching the line, and it wasn't freeing up the slack, and it wasn't, it was basically I cut off a zip tie. Like they were saying this and that and all of this was wrong, and I cut off a zip tie and it fixed the problem. So I'm
You
like,
cut off the what?
there was like a zip tie, like it was an electric bike, but I had like a zip tie where it kind of shouldn't have been, so it's kind of
Oh, okay.
it was causing the cable to kind of bind up a little bit. So I cut the zip tie off, and like all of a sudden it just started shifting fine. I'm like, so you were like really about to charge me all this labor for a zip tie, all these parts labor for a zip tie. So I'm like,
Yeah, no. I mean, what you're telling me is really important information because I was I was getting ready to sit with the mechanic and say, hey, maybe some tuning is needed. But if the entire gear is bad, then I might as well keep looking on eBay, like you're saying, find me a Shimano 11 tooth, keep looking for it,
they pop
and
up occasionally, but they're rare.
yeah,
But it's like honestly, if I every time that I have to bring my bike into the shop, one of my electric bikes, I have to strip it down pretty much all the way to where it's almost like a regular bike. I still keep the hub motor on, but everything else comes off, and I let them do everything mechanical to it, and then I got to reinstall everything. That's all.
yeah.
That's
That's basically what he wants. Is that he wants me to take it to him with as a regular bike. No, I don't want to do that. I don't have time for all that.
I mean,
Hey, I'm doing the paying. I'm paying the guy good money, so he shouldn't make me do the work.
I totally agree, but it's like we don't have like since the bike shops are so closed minded, we don't really have anybody that will be like, yeah, bring it in as is. I'll work around it because a lot of times the electrical parts ain't got nothing to do with what's going on mechanically. You know, they're just like it's like kryptonite. They just freeze up and don't know how to work. You know, like I don't know. It just like I said, I really miss my mechanic. Um, because he was definitely open. And now, I mean, if I had to go to any other guys, there's only one or two guys at the shop that I really trust to work on it. And if they're not in, I will leave and come back. When is he coming back? When will he be back in? All right, I'll come back that day. You know,
Yeah.
'cause I'm like so right now. I'm looking on eBay for a 7-speed freewheel for you to see if but like I said, they're freaking rare as hell. Like I said, I overpaid for mine. I was in a bed.
Yeah, okay. Another thing I was looking for, a 11-tooth single speed. Apparently that, I don't understand why they tell me that you can't make an 11-tooth freewheel. It's too small, but that doesn't make sense. So if you can have a 7-speed gear with 11-tooth on it, you can make a 1-speed gear with 11-tooth on it.
It's it's like if you really look at the freewheel and then like if you look at a 7 speed with an 11 tooth and then you look at a single speed, it's really different because what tends to happen, the threads, how you thread it on, that's what's killing you.
Yeah.
If there were like some type of adapter that like it's
Like I wanted to take this DNP, and I wanted him to say, I take off all the gears. Just leave me, 2 gears or 3 gears. I'm happy. I don't need umpteen gears because if I had only two gears, my driveline would be a straight. It wouldn't be two.
Basically, like I said, is when you look at the freewheel, the actual support and threads of the freewheel are up on the larger gears. So
Yeah.
what's on the smaller end is technically unsupported. So when you have a single speed, you have to put the threads in there, and so the threads are bigger than the gears.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure somebody should be able to do it in such a way that, same thing like a 7-speed, except the upper gears are non-existent; they're blank. Like
You can do that with cassette, maybe.
some of the new motors they have cassette now, right?
Yeah, and you can build up your own thing.
Yeah.
You need to put space.
But the Mac doesn't have a cassette.
There you just have a regular freewheel.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, with cassettes, you can kind of blank them out like that and just only use what you want. But
Yep.
that's honestly, you might have to start looking at cassette motors too, because the
So why isn't everybody on cassette? I mean, I would think the cassette is a lot better. Why are these electric motors all using regular? Screw-on threading instead of cassette?
I think it's all about which is catering to a different crowd. It's sort of like e-bikes tend to have like bottom of the barrel parts for the most part, unless you design around it. So when you start talking about cassettes and stuff, of course the only time you see cassettes are on those weight weenie motors, like the lightweight gear motors, like from Crystal Light or something like that. And I think maybe 9C has like but only 9C was pretty much pressured to make something with a cassette. They didn't really want to, but if there was a demand for it or somebody wanted it, then they had to tool up and make a motor that was compatible with cassettes. But that's only for like the weight weenie crowd that they want to add.
Well, see, I'm part of the weight weenie crowd.
Well,
and what's your opinion? Like, let's say if you take a Mac and the cover, why does that need to be steel? Couldn't it be made out of aluminum?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, because most of the other ones are made of some aluminum pot metal that's supposedly lighter. So I mean, but the thing is, like you said, in order for them to change their ways and change their tooling and everything, you have to have a pretty significant order quantity for it to get them to do that. And
Yeah.
it's unfortunately like we don't even have any other than Mac. Like BMC used to be the BMC used to be the elite company, and then Mac copied BMC, and then but they still didn't change their ways. Change or make it cheaper. They made it cheaper somewhat, but it wasn't like to such a degree where you want to make a copy, but retain some quality. Not that aluminum is a bad choice.
So I mean, what's your advice? Like, like if I want to make it 30-30-30, I need like a Mac motor, but I need it to shed like 2 pounds.
And
You know,
what weight are you looking for on
the 30-30-30 pound bike.
as far as the motor?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. See, the budget for the motor is like for the entire wheel is like 4.5 pounds, and Mac just by itself is 4.5 pounds.
It's going to be really hard to get it down that low. Um, 'Cause I was trying to look at these crystalline motors that almost have like a plastic cover. Um, let's see, the cheapest one is 2.4 kilograms, so that's still over 5 pounds or 6 pounds,
Yeah.
and that's like a lower end 250 watt gear motor. You may have to look at the cheap ass bafangs, like a really.
Yeah, I tried the bafang motor once. Yeah, I didn't like it. It was made a lot of noisy. It was
Yeah,
very noisy.
I don't think they. Yeah, and plus you're really looking at driving at less than 500 watts. I mean, they're not really made to have any huge substantial current going through them at all. And I'm looking right now. I'm on the e-bike CA, and I'm looking at their smaller motor. Like I said, it's 2.4 kilograms, and at this point that's pretty low, and that's not even laced. So you're still going to look at something like at 6 or 7 pounds laced, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my problem. That's exactly it. By the time you're done, you're at 35 pounds, 36 pounds, 37 pounds.
The only one that I can think of is, have you seen those ones that sit in the tube, in the seat tube that drive the bottom bracket directly? But those aren't made for any continuous duties either. It's like almost like
Yeah, they're pretty whiny.
yeah.
Because they're really super high RPM. Then you're down. They've got a big whine. Basically, if I need the Mac to be slimmed down, but I talked to them once. They want an order of like 5,000 units and so on. I can't order 5,000 units. Come on.
I mean, the only thing I can think of, you may want to have to start experimenting with RC mid drives. That's the only way I can think you can get that weight.
Yeah.
To the RC mid.
But the RC has a lot of whine though, doesn't it?
Like a lot of noise, like a lot
of noise. Yeah, a lot of whining. Because if you're gearing it down, you get a lot of noise.
Yeah, and like I said, that would be like definitely you have to create like something like a rear wheel mount that possibly drives the left side, so you kind of probably give up disc brakes in favor of a cog that can, you replace the disc brake with a motor cog or a motor. You know what I'm talking about, and drive it down.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you're going to get that weight down. It's going to be similar. What was the iZips? Is it the iZips that had that rear motor back there?
Yeah, that was lousy.
I mean,
that was lousy.
You might be able to get like a brushless one that's a little bit more quieter, but still it'll be a high RPM one.
Yeah.
So you're still going to have that whine, and it won't have the stealth that you want, Or like you could also look at doing a mid drive bafang or something like that, driving the bottom bracket. Have you looked at the Da Vinci setups from it's sort of like the Matt Schumer reduction drive, but he's using
The weight on the reduction and gearing and all that, you get something here, you lose something there. So the end result is still like, budget. You still bust your budget.
it's not an elegant solution either. It takes up a lot of space in the frame where you lose it to the battery. I mean, where your battery would normally go is the reduction drive is there. I mean, there's not too many options unless you just put some type of motor on the wheel, like an outrunner on the wheel. But like I said, you still have that motor whine.
Yeah, I saw one of these guys, one of the stories, I think an electric bike. He built a super light bike with an outrunner.
I think it's like the Kelper drive.
Kelper, yeah. But he was also complaining it was too whiny, too noisy and whiny.
Man, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So I mean, that's why I have three bikes in my garage. One is for speed, one is for silent. Like I said, I have the Muxus 3000. That's my speed bike, 45 miles an hour. And I have my BBSO2. That's for if I want to pedal and exercise and remain pretty silent. And that does 25 miles an hour. Then I got another middle of the road. I got a 4060, a Crystalite 4060. That's still a heavy motor, but it's slow. So that does give me around 30-ish at 48 volts. So you can't roll everything all into one. And like it just won't happen. Like I said.
Yeah, I wanted to mention one thing. I forgot about that. Some of the guys have been taking my batteries and they're putting it in Saunders, one of the guys in Santa Barbara. And so it seems to fit exactly where, in the Saunders triangle pack.
Yeah.
They took it out of the bag and put it in there, and boom, you get a very nice Saunders. Then becomes 36 volt. It becomes 48 volts, so it becomes faster, and it has 15 amp hour instead of 7. So it has twice the range and like 50% more speed.
You may want to start pushing that, because that bike isn't a demanding bike. It is a legal bike all around. It doesn't do more than 750 watts. So, like I said, I know Baron Hoffman has sold like maybe 200 or 300 replacement bottle batteries that he upgraded from, I think, the 8 or 9 amp hour to 12 amp hour. It's a direct.
Who did? Who sold them?
Barrett Hoffman on the Endless Shift.
Oh, yeah. He was doing an upgrade. I thought he sold like 100 batteries or something.
I think it may be a little bit more than that, but it's sort of like if you can find someone close to you and do a video that shows that your battery does fit in that case. If you remove everything related to the old battery and put your battery in there and show the distance and the speed and everything is working all right, that can be pretty profitable for you. But the thing is, Barrett sold his for $295 shipped, I believe. So if you can't, I mean, I know there's a higher voltage and more capacity. So, but tons of people bought that battery due to the price, and and it's like the only way that I think it'll probably be good for you is, like I said, if you can get a bike or know somebody that has a bike that's willing to let you to do the upgrade, and then.
One of my customers, he already did it. He put pictures on the Facebook page.
Yeah, like I said, you may have to, like I said, request a little bit more info and like actually start marketing yourself as a replacement battery. I know it feels like I'm backstabbing Barron, but if your battery fits in that case and without any qualms, without any issues, then you need to capitalize on it. That'll be more.
Oh yeah. No, I mean it's just an option. I mean, it's up to people. I can't really lower my price too much because I pay more for everything because of all this extra testing and so on that I have to do and that I have done over there. So, but it's okay. I'm happy if somebody gets it for less. It's fine.
like I said, I don't know, but the thing is, like I said, that speed, that extra speed, he's not offering anything for extra speed. He's just offering 50% more range. So you offering if you offer 50% more speed and 50% more range, so I'm pretty sure. Well, I think the only thing that's restricting that thing is that it goes faster, but I think you still have to have that display. Like some of the motor, the original, the first wave of the Saunders bike didn't get the display, but if you get the display, you can tweak the speed settings a lot more so that you
Yep.
can take a full advantage of the 48-volt battery. So it's kind of a twofold process, but I think I don't know, it may be a joint venture that y'all need to talk about together instead of, it being like a backstabbing thing and everybody out for themselves. Um, to offer a 48-volt option because I think yours, like you said, yours will fit in there perfectly. Take it out the case and it slides into the Saunders battery case just fine. Other than maybe a little bit of padding or something, but other than that, it fits in there. I mean, I've seen the Saunders bike in person. It's a pretty nice bike. It's just
Yeah.
everything on it is extremely low end. Everything from the controller to the battery to them. Like I said, the first wave they get shipped with everything. Like I said, the first wave doesn't have the displays, so it's like you know. I think the Saunders people are happy that they got their bike and they really don't want anybody talking shit about it. Um, but
Yeah.
still,
I think actually I think it really increased the market, even though it undercut a lot of people, and a lot of e-bike people probably are not happy because they're selling. Obviously, I'm selling a battery, and people are buying a complete bike for less.
but
Uh,
I still
but
think the Saunders bike needs like $300 or $400 put with it to make it a nicer, solid bike. It's an okay bike now, but they just spend a few hundred dollars to make a few things a little bit more solid on it, and then I would give it a thumbs up. But as it is, like the original plain Jane bike, I'm not too impressed with it.
well, I think it's in the sense that you've got you've got like $7 million worth of bikes out there, which is what about 7,000 or you know uh, 10,000 bikes.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of bikes. That's a lot of e-bikes. That means there's 10,000 people now, have become aware of e-bikes and are trying it, and the news is spreading. So I think it's good.
yeah. I mean, it's just like I mean, everybody that took advantage of the entry level pricing is grinning ear to ear, and but to really, like I said, to really take advantage of the bike, 'cause like I said, they didn't offer it with all the perks and everything. So I think like the second wave is getting slightly more stuff. I think that because they paid a little bit more, and even the full retail price of the bike. Uh, like I said, you have the early adopters, and you have people that paid a little bit more, and then you have the full retail bike. So, like I said, the first wave people are missing a few things to really round out and complete their bike. So,
Yeah.
but I'm also seeing them buying frivolous stuff for the bike. You know, I mean,
Well, if it lasts a year to 2 years, I'd say it's worth it. If you get people, even half of the people use that instead of cars for like half of their trips, that's still, I think, a great benefit.
I totally agree. Like I said, the bike, like the one that I saw was, like I said, down in Tybee Island, Georgia, which is a totally flat city. Is maybe like a 3 mile by 3 mile city. It's not that big. It's a beach city. Perfect for something like that, going out to the store, going to the gas station, going to, you know, short commutes type stuff. But
Yep,
I think
yep,
it's
yep.
really going to start to struggle when it tries
Oh
to
yeah,
tackle any hills. Um,
yeah.
if you got any,
But I think just in local usage, I mean, even kids going to school is a big thing.
yeah.
You know.
I rode next to one that it sounds loud, sounds like a truck with those truck with those mud tires on it. I mean, it's like especially for them to even really market that bike as, oh, this can like ride on the beach and this, that, and the other. That is the some of the bikes is where is it because of marketing.
Yeah.
It was sold. It sold all those units based on the marketing, not on the functionality. Because if anybody from Hemisphere that has good mind know if you try to take like the bike is designed to be kind of off-roading, ride on the beach, and this, that, and the other. They know if they take it out in those conditions, it'll fail. I mean,
Well, I'd like to see it in the snow. Let's see how it performs in the winter. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have it.
the thing is, I've limited my bike to 500 watts and try to ride it, or 750 watts and try to ride it. It's very lackluster, and I don't care if you have a geared motor or a direct drive motor. 500 watts or 750 watts isn't really meaningful unless you're in a flat area. I can't make it up my driveway on 750 watts.
Uh-huh.
I have to pedal up my driveway, but it's like I find out I need 1,000 or 1,500 watts, and I think that's what it takes for that bike to liven up to be something nice. And you're going to need a little bit more power to help it along. It's extremely.
Yeah, I need to market these batteries because just upgrading a battery will give you the power and the range and the speed.
So like I said, right now I think it's 20 miles, like 15 and 20 miles is what most of the people are getting on this stock battery.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near the what? Well, no, it's near their advertising. They advertise it close to 25 miles, throttle only. But like I said, this is in the flats of California, riding on one of those beach trails or whatever. Paved to paved.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go visit my friend in Santa Barbara. I forget his name. He showed me some pictures of it. I want to go see him and get some video, and then put up a page for that.
I really think you should. Like I said, take some picture photos, even if you have to clean up his wiring or whatever to make it look like a nice, clean install. Then you do it. Because like I said, you're offering a pretty much a good deal. And who says you have to put like? Who says they have to have a 15 amp hour battery? Because the control is only 17 amp. Like it's not even 17 amps. It's a low end control, so it's not going to be like taxing on.
What's the maximum voltage on the controller on the Saunders bike? Do you know?
If it can take 48 volts, then it's probably it probably has like 63 volt caps. So it probably has 63 volt caps in it. And I think the MOSFETs in it are probably some generic 60 or 75 volt MOSFETs, but I'm pretty sure we can go on one of those forums where somebody's taken apart. I can get the info. I just have to ask this one person that's actually taken it apart and actually check. But but I think all of that stuff you just probably need to look over that bike and ask for permission, because I think it has one of those controllers you can take off the end cap and look at.
I think I'll go and see him. I'll bike over and go and see him and then do it like that.
Yeah, because there's a lot to be gained, and I think just take the photos and everything, and
I gotta go. I gotta take this phone call.
All right, man. Nice talking with you. I enjoyed.
Okay, it was great. I really learned a lot.
All right,
I did.